back, Qualifiers Sports. This is not our usual episode, but we'll be reacting to every Leafs playoffs game this season. So, right off the gate, Evan, takeaways from yesterday's game.
The takeaway is we suck. I think it's the bottom line, and I think the problem is that there was no intensity to last night's game. Everyone was just slow to react, and I'm not going to chalk it down to the fact that it was the first game back in 4 months, because there's also Columbus's. They just seemed more ready for the game. The game plan was quite obvious from the beginning from Columbus. They'll just absorb whatever pressure the Leafs had, which is very minimal after the second period, which is just shocking. But there has to be a lot of improvement come game two, because we saw it last year, and I almost forgot that Columbus swept Tampa Bay just because of how long it's been. And on paper, Toronto, you're thinking should have, the upper hand. They have the better players offensively, but Columbus was just more of a unit. They were more together, and it was more obvious. It was obvious to me that they were more ready to play than the Leafs. The Leafs just did nothing after the second period, and frankly, they really didn't create much in the first two periods. But the third period is one of the worst third periods I've ever seen for a playoff game. They had absolutely nothing there, and there was not one moment that I thought maybe we're going to score. When you're watching a hockey game and there's a good chance, and your heart kind of skips a beat for a second. You're like, did it go in? There was not one moment in that third period where I thought that the Leafs had any chance of scoring. It was just pathetic from top to bottom. The one player, actually the two players I will say, had a decent game was Austin Matthews and Freddie Anderson. Other than that, everyone's just hang their heads in shame, just sad. And once again, I'm a depressed Leaf fan because watching that game was just absolutely horrendous. I couldn't stand that, and I just went to bed depressed because there's no positives that I could take other than the fact that there's another game tomorrow.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think probably the biggest thing that brought them down was the second line with Marner and Tavares and Mikheyev. I think they completely disappeared every time they were on the ice. Marner all game as if he wasn't playing, to be honest. I haven't seen him anywhere. And same with Tavares. And Tavares, you're captain of the team. He needs to step up, like, completely. There's no excuse about that. And likewise with Marner, beginning of the season, Marner makes such a big deal of his contract and how much he's getting paid. He created that whole entire speculation of whether or not Toronto's gonna pay him that money. And then Toronto paid him that money. But he hasn't put up the numbers. He hasn't proven that he was worth the money he was given this year.
Let's start with John Tavares. The one thing I could say that he did well was win faceoffs, but we're not paying him $11 million to be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs just to win a few faceoffs. He was completely invisible as well with Marner, and the best player on that line with Mikheyev. He didn't do much, but at least it looked like he was trying. Mitch Marner, I don't know what happened to him. He'll need a big game too. I'll allow players to have a bad game, but the problem is yesterday everyone was so bad, and there was no moment that I thought they were going to score outside the one Matthews chance where I thought he was going to score in the second period. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about, where Korpisalo made a very good glove save. You know what chance I'm referring to. But that's only a chance that I really thought that they could score. The only one that comes to mind is Nick Robertson, the first 30 seconds of the game on that first shift when he forced the toe save out of Korpisalo. But then again, Nick Robertson's a rookie. That was his first competitive hockey game, and the fact that these are the guys that are creating the chances, it's just it's not good enough. It's just sad because the fact is we've seen the same story year in year out again from the Leafs, and the fact is I thought they played much better against Boston throughout 7 games. Maybe it's the fact that it's their first game in 4 months, but Columbus just sat back in the third period. They didn't even face pressure. They just allowed the Maple Leafs just give them the puck. They couldn't do anything once they entered the zone. Columbus had 3 guys sitting there. They had no speed, no intensity, no desire, and the character that they showed was just non-existent. There's just no effort. I feel like there's a bunch of adjectives I could use to describe the effort that they displayed, but frankly, they deserve absolutely nothing Sheldon Keefe got schooled. I said last week that I think we're going to learn a lot of Sheldon Keefe. Frankly, if I was the GM, I wouldn't let him back into the arena in game 2. I thought he was just completely embarrassed by John Tortorella. And I saw a lot of similarities from Mike Babcock. The one thing that drives me nuts, and I'm just gonna say this right now before I forget and before I forget to ever mention, I hate on the power plays. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They have the puck and they do these obnoxious dropbacks. They do it once, then they do it again. Like, what's the point? Just skate in, whoever it is, get some speed. When you do these dropbacks, you lose so much momentum. And you just lose 10 seconds off your power play. It drives you nuts because it's harder to get in the zone. Just skate in, dump the puck in deep, chase. You have an extra man, and everything's so methodical, and everything's about that extra pass. Put pucks on net, cycle the puck deep. None of that happened, and the result is they didn't score a goal. Columbus executed their game plan perfectly. John Tortorella, I don't think, could be happier with what he saw yesterday, and Sheldon Keefe better come up with something quick because it's going to be a quick turnaround. They're back tomorrow, 4 o'clock, but this could be a quick series, just like we saw last year against Tampa Bay when Columbus swept them. Tampa Bay didn't know what to expect, and it looks like Toronto just came out for a regular season game. It looked like a preseason game for them, to be honest. So I'm trying not to get angry. I'm trying not to rant, but what I saw yesterday, people are saying it was a pretty even game. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Columbus just completely dominated mentally. They have the lesser offensive talent, but they're more of a team than Toronto has ever been. And that's what I'll say. If you have any other thoughts to add on before I go a little deeper into some individual performances.
No, I think you got spot on. I think especially since Columbus is such a sound defensive team, and as an offensive team like the Leafs, you need to give that defense a threat. You need to kind of make that strong defense worry. But Leafs offense isn't doing that, and when you have a strong defensive team like Columbus, they're going to like you said, they played pretty much perfectly.
Yeah, they didn't put a foot wrong, and but it didn't look like Toronto even. Again, didn't look like they had a chance on that outside of the Matthews shot. That's the one moment in the game where I thought maybe they were going to score a goal. Outside of that, Korpisalo wasn't really worked, and Anderson had to make the better of the saves. But yeah, it's basically Prem Mourinho ball. John Tortorella just completely outmatched Sheldon Keefe. Starts with the coaching, but I'm going to go into some individuals right now. I'm going to start on the defensive side because I think I talked a little bit about Marner and Tavares. Again, if they don't step up, they're not going to win game 2. They don't have a chance. Let's go defensively. People are saying, they weren't even that bad defensively, Toronto. I'm like, if you watch that game, I can't tell you how many times I saw these 3 guys just in their own end, just throw the puck in the middle of the ice without even looking and just turn the puck over. Travis Dermott, you're never going to win with him on the ice. Let's be honest. You're not going to win a Stanley Cup with that clown on the ice. Travis Dermott's just an embarrassment of a hockey player. I can't stand watching him. I thought he did absolutely nothing right. And just simple things like clearing the zone. Columbus just keeps pressure by keeping the puck in the zone because Travis Dermott doesn't know his head from his rear end. I was going to say something I shouldn't, but he doesn't know his head from his rear end, Travis Dermott. Yeah, you're not going to win with him on the ice ever. Cody Ceci. They got him from Ottawa for a reason. I don't remember Ottawa ever winning anything. And I don't know why they thought Cody Ceci was a good idea in the offseason. Leafs just love these horrible defenders that just play around with the puck in their own end and just give away cheap goals. Cody Ceci, I can't stand watching. He was an absolute joke yesterday. And the other guy, Jake Muzzin. I don't know what happened to his LA Kings day, but Jake Muzzin just looks like a shadow of himself. Embarrassing performance once again. Just can't clear his own zone, throwing it in the middle of the ice in his own end. Sometimes it's better to clear the puck if you don't know what you're doing. Jake Muzzin just looked lost yesterday. He drove me nuts. And the other defenseman that did not know what he was doing the entire time. I was about to say Tyson Barrie, but Tyson Barrie was okay yesterday. It was Justin Hall. He's kind of a Marlies guy. You don't expect much from him. He was the worst out of he was the best out of the 2 guys I mentioned before, but just not much there. And you can't win playoff hockey games with those guys on the ice. They're just not good enough. You don't get that consistency from them, and it's a simple plays. And you didn't see Toronto once ever have a shift over a minute in Columbus's end because they know how to get rid of the puck. Once in their zone, they clear it. They don't play around. They don't do anything that's going to give away goals. And just Toronto does that too often. And yesterday, it didn't really cost them when they made those mistakes. It was only the one shot where it's just a quick turnaround, no look pass into Cam Atkinson. A shot where Freddie should have saved, but the game is not at all on Freddie. Is just unfortunate incident. It was just a really good placement shot right under the blocker. Just something that happens in hockey. You can't save them all. But with that being said, those three guys, who did I just mention? Justin Hall, Cody Ceci, and Travis Dermott. Travis Dermott, I think, is the worst defenseman that the Leafs have on the ice currently. He's just as bad as Jake Gardiner when it comes to just simple plays in his own end. And I said last week that I thought Toronto was going to win in 5, but I thought it was going to be an ugly 5. I think Columbus might win the series in 3 or 4. Just John Tortorella it appears he has Sheldon Keefe's number, and it just looks like the intensity. Columbus just, they're more organized and they just know what they're doing as a team. And until I see something change from Toronto, maybe it does change tomorrow. Look, they could easily win tomorrow, and we'll be having a completely different conversation come Wednesday. But I'm disappointed, and I really don't think Toronto is going to get anything out of this series if they played anything like they did last night.
Yeah, completely agree with you. We knew that it won't be an easy series considering like the strengths of Columbus and strengths of Leafs and like their weaknesses. But last game, I think Columbus, like I said, Columbus dominated that game. It really wasn't much of a game.
And anyone saying, it was an even game, it was a back and forth game, and Toronto, they just lost from an unfortunate goal. Well, no, Columbus knows they don't have as much offensive talent. They sat back, they just absorbed pressure, and they waited for Toronto to make a mistake. And unfortunately, it was Freddie Anderson that made the mistake. The game's not on him. He made an incredible toe save. I forget who it's on. In the second period, you know what I'm talking about. Just great reflexes and kept the game at 0. But Toronto didn't look like they were scoring at all, even when they had their power plays. It was just poor, slow, and there's no excitement. It didn't feel like playoff hockey, and you can't give them the excuse that the coronavirus break, because everyone else looked fine. I watched a lot of the hockey games before the Leafs. I guess the Leafs are one of the last teams to play. And yeah, everyone else looked fine. You look at Chicago, Edmonton, goals all over the place. Chicago played great. Montreal, Pittsburgh, great game. Lots of goals, lots of chances. Toronto has the highest salary cap, and they're paying their offensive stars like Marner and Tavares $11, $12 million a year, and that's what you're getting out of them. Playoff hockey when it matters most. Give me a break.
When you're paying 3 forwards over $10 million a year, you expect your forwards to score goals.
Yeah, I'm just disgusted, frankly, and maybe we'll see something different tomorrow, but until I see something different, I'm just going to be a pissed off Leafs fan, just like everyone else, just like every other Leafs fan in Toronto and around the world. Anyways, that is our emergency Leafs podcast for today. Thank you guys all for listening. We will be back on Wednesday, so make sure you tune in to that on 5-5 Sports on YouTube, and we'll see you guys in a few days. Thanks for listening.